hope for this legislation.
However,
Been quite gratified by the response in Congress. There have been hearings in both the House and the Senate of an overview
nature.
Because of the practical experience I've had in reorganization programs. It fell to my lot in industry to reorganize two automobile companies, Hudson and then in state government. I think the most important point is that it's a completely new department approach because I am familiar with the consequences of failure to coordinate community development activities. Let me give you a specific example. Department will do is to provide a one-stop service to communities, rural and urban. And let me show you how. This next chart shows how many different cities and how many different departments the mayor of Duluth has to go to now to get action on programs involving community development. Now, under the new department, the mayor of Duluth would go to one office and deal with all those matters. Now, let me show you what a city in North Carolina has to do currently in making application for a water sewer grant program. It has to go to 3 different departments because each one has such a program. It located in different communities, different states. Under the new setup, he goes to one place. Now, the Duluths and the larger communities are able to cope with that a lot better than the smaller rural communities. But this one-stop service is very important. Now, we've initiated such an effort within the limits of our present department through an annual arrangements program where we consolidate all our community development programs we now have and work with the individual communities on an annualized basis. And let me tell you what, and let me read you what Mayor Hatch in the interests of the people of this country.
The enthusiasm that George has for the reorganization of the areas on a functional basis that he has just explained. In the area of natural resources, we've got, as you know, a very broad spectrum of problems and a very broad spectrum of missions that have to be integrated if we're going to have a good, sound policy for our mineral, for our water, for our energy, and for our other natural resources that will guarantee a reasonable extension of life for the finite resources into the future for as many centuries as possible, and will guarantee an efficient use of those resources in our everyday consumption of them. What's happened is that it's really been something that's been worked over by the Congress before, but it's never had the presidential backing that it has now. As you know, a natural resource bill for a Department of Resources has been introduced, I think, in the last 4 Congresses. At least I know it was during all the Congresses in which I served. And I believe that the trade-offs that we have to make and the criteria that we have to develop must come from a new alignment of all of these functions. If we don't, we're going to be continually behind the problem. We're going to continue to see the environment pay a substantial part of the price for the development of our civilization. And this, I believe, is being recognized. And Senator Jackson, as a member of the subcommittee of the McClellan Committee, held hearings on this. We have discussed this widely with members of both the House and the Senate, and I believe that at last this concept is going to come into being, and I think it's going to be a tremendous tool in the mating of the development of our civilization and the preservation of our natural environment. And without this, it's going to be very hard to do. So we're excited about it in Interior, though we lose the whole department into a new concept, and everybody there is willing to do this. I'd like to make one other point. There has been some comment made that this will have the effect of taking a lot of people out of the line, will take a lot of people off of the government payrolls. We've done a very